Hello Stampin' Friends, this is Jeannie Moss, the Bluegrass Stamper. Welcome to my studio here in the Bluegrass state of Kentucky. Today we're going to be making an easy card using the in colors. These are the new 25 to 27 in color cardstocks. We're going to use those. So this is a very simple card. Happy birthday. On the inside I just put some stars, so this could be a great masculine birthday card. I know I struggle sometimes with masculine cards, and maybe you do too. You'll need some supplies. We're going to be using With You in Mind, the stamp set. We'll be using the happy birthday and the star. We'll also be using the Textured Notes dies. Now I have this one out. This is the one I'm using. This is the fourth from the largest. This is a set of 8 rectangle dies, and they all have different little borders. So this is the one I'll be using. It's a great set of dies. If you need some rectangle dies, they're perfect. We'll be using the Dotted Circles 3D embossing folder. We'll be using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine for that. We'll be using Darling Duckling and Secret Sea. Let me turn them around here, get them right side up. Ink pads, the classic ink pads. Like I said, we'll be using the 5 in colors. We'll be using some of the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. I've just got a piece here of the basic white that's about 6 inches long. And we'll be using the 25 to 27 in color flat pearls. I really like these. They come in all 5 colors. One of the colors is hidden up here at the top, but I like these because they are pretty flat, so it makes it a little bit easier to go through the mail. So those darker ones are up here at the top. So we've got all our in colors there. We'll be using some of the Darling Duckling ribbon. This is the 3/8 inch faux linen ribbon. So we have a piece of Secret Sea. This would be our card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5. We've got 2 layers of white, basic white. These are 4 by 5 1/4. And like I said, I have taken my die and I've run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to cut out of this layer. So this layer will be hidden. So if you notice on the card, this will be the layer that's on the front of our card. So it's hidden, the whole will be hidden behind our in color cardstock. We'll have a piece of scrap. This can be anything. And we'll have strips of our in colors. This one is 3 1/4 by, looks like 4 7/8, 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. Like I said, this could be anything. This is just some cheap cardstock that I have that I use for templates and stuff. And then these are 3/4 of an inch. No, wait, these are 7/8 of an inch by 3 1/4. So 7/8 by 3 1/4, and we've got a strip of each of the new in colors. So let's get started and put those to the side. We're going to start with that card base. We're going to score it at 4 1/4, and I have already done that. And we'll just give it a nice burnish. I'm also going to bring in a piece of scrap paper since this is so dark, so that you can see what I'm doing. So there's our card base. On one of the 4 by 5 1/4 white panels, this is going to be the inside of our card, and we're going to go ahead and get that done. So I've got the star, and I've got the Darling Duckling ink. So I'm just going to ink that up and stamp it a couple of times down here, and then once up in this corner. So we'll let that dry a bit, and that's all we're going to do with that ink. So I'll put that out of the way. And this is ready to go inside the card. just put some seal on that. I'm just going to center that. So this will have a little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And there's the inside of the card. So we'll work on the front. And like I said before, I've taken the other 4x5 1/4 white panel and I've just cut this piece out of it. So now we'll go ahead and stamp this piece. And I'm going to get on my foam pad for that. And this is going to be in the Secret C. And it's that beautiful happy birthday stamp. So I'll just ink that up. Isn't that pretty? I love it, love it, love it. And we are finished with this ink pad. In fact, that is all of our stamping. So I'm going to put this to the side just to let it dry for a bit. And we will work on this piece with our strips of the in colors. So what we will do is just take this and I'm going to add just some of the multi-purpose glue, or as I like to call it, the green glue. And just put a little bit of that all over. You don't need a whole lot. In fact, less is better because you don't want it squishing out. And we are going to emboss this piece, so we don't want a lot of glue to squish out in our embossing folder. And then we'll just start lining these up with this piece. And because you're using glue, it's a little more forgiving, so you can, if you need to move them around, give them a little slide, you can do that. So we're butting these right up next to each other. And if we need to, we can always do a little trim. See, those are not really even, so line them up on one end. And if they hang off on the end, that's no big deal. It does not matter. So as you can see, mine hangs off down here. I'm not cutting that off because I want these to be all the same size. But if you do need to trim on the edge, that's not a problem. Just bring your trimmer out. And that's one of the reasons I like to use some kind of a cheap, thin cardstock for this backing so that it's easy to cut if you do need to. So I'm just going to put that in my trimmer and I'm just going to cut that little strip off the end. And I'll have to come back and get that piece out, and that's not a problem. In fact, I'll just show you how I do that. I just take like something flat, and this works really well for that, to clean that out. This is the Take Your Pick tool, and that's the little spatula end, and it works really well for cleaning out the track on your trimmer. So we've got that finished. So the next thing I did was take this piece and emboss it. So I put it in my embossing folder and I centered it. So I centered it with the top and the bottom and the sides so that it was in here. And then you'll put that through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is a 3D embossing folder. So what you will use is platform 1. You'll put this in, and then you'll use this number 4 plate. So you'll put that through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and you will end up with something that looks like this. Very cute, very cute. And so now we are ready to work on the front of our card. We've got all our pieces together. We're going to take this piece that has the hole cut in it, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right along the edges of this. You do not want to get out here on these edges because that will be seen. This under here will not be seen, and you can go out a little farther than that. If you can see this, I'm going to center that so you still have a little bit of room, but I'm centering this right over that hole. So now that will cover up the hole on that white panel. So there we go with that. The next thing I'm going to do is put ribbon across the front of this. And to do that, I like to work on the back. So I like to flip this over, and I like to run adhesive along the sides. Then I can take this piece, I can lay my ribbon on, get it exactly where I want it, and then just pinch the ends down in the back, and that will secure the ribbon. So now the ribbon is secured on the back, and we can go ahead and add more adhesive to this because this is now ready to go on our card. So we'll center this. It'll have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around it. And then we have a piece of twine. I told you that was about 6 inches long. We'll tuck that right under, and because we haven't secured that ribbon anywhere on the front, it makes it easy to tuck that under, and we can tie a bow. And if you need to tie it in a knot first, that's perfectly fine too. That will work just fine. And there, you might have to fiddle with that a little bit. There we go. And now this piece, well, let me trim those off a little bit. That one's a little long. Grab my paper snips. I'm just going to trim this one a little bit. And this is now going to go on with dimensionals. So we'll be putting that right on there. So I've actually got some dimensionals here that are edges, and it's always nice to use these edges. Nothing goes to waste on these dimensionals. This actually happens to be from the mini dimensionals. Well, got fumble fingers today. I'm just going to put a piece in every corner. And then a piece in the center. And then if you can't seem to pick those off, I usually don't have trouble with that, but this is another use for this take your pick tool. If I twist this, you can see the little lock and unlock. I can unlock that and bring that out and put it back in the other way so that I have this little pokey tool. And this little pokey tool is perfect for getting the tops off of dimensionals. Just poke it in just very slightly and kind of pull to the side. So if you ever have trouble with getting the backs off your dimensionals, this is just a little trick for that. And now this is ready to go on. And I'm going to center it. In fact, I'm going to move this bow, and because that ribbon's not secured anywhere, I can actually slide him down a little bit. I'm going to put this under the bow and center it. And then the last thing I will do is take my embellishments, and those are from those flat pearls. Is that what they were called? In color flat pearls. So I have some of the Darling Duckling ones that I'll just peel off of here. Another really great use for this take your pick tool is to pick up these embellishments. This is probably what I most use it for, is picking those embellishments up. And there is our card. So we have happy birthday, we have all those beautiful in colors, and it could be for anyone, male or female. So I hope you've enjoyed this card. If you have any questions, you can email me at bluegrassstamper@gmail.com. If you'd like to see more of my projects, I have a website, www.bluegrassstamper.com. While you're there, a little blue button will pop up asking you if you want a free tutorial. If you put in your name and email address on that, you will get a free tutorial immediately, and you'll also be signing up for my email list, and I send out a free tutorial every week. So hop on over there, and thank you for joining me today, and I hope you like the project. Bye.